Well, I'm medicated and sedated, and I sincerely hope you are too. So let's set this mother off today. Alexa, let's make it official. What day is it?
Today is Thursday, November 7th.
All right, from Hollywood, it's the world-famous Mojo Elliott here to rap about the stuff nobody really gives a rat's ass about. Rated E for explicit and eccentric. All right, a quick heads up before we get rolling here. I've made some changes to the Rat's Ass Podcast blog. I woke up this morning with a wild hair. That ever happened to you where you wake up in the morning, you just go, where did this wild hair come from? So instead of posting a lot of mumbo-jumbo you can get anywhere else, I've decided to turn my blog, the Rat's Ass Podcast blog, into my personal diary where I share my most intimate thoughts with you. And you have access to it via the Rat's Ass Podcast Facebook page. You can check it out if you dare. All right, if this is your first time listening to the Rat's Ass Podcast, I can't take responsibility for what you're about to experience. You're on your own. All right, here's how we execute the Rat's Ass Podcast. You email your thoughts, observations, comments, and questions to me, and I respond to them. The more outrageous and salacious, the better. Send them to ratsasspodcast@gmail.com. You can always listen on Alexa, Spotify, Apple, and most other podcast apps, plus on our Facebook page. New episodes drop every Tuesday and Thursday. I do not read your emails in advance. I have a producer. His name is Fleabag. He forwards me your name, where you're from, and convert your emails so I can respond to them rapid fire and on the fly. So let's get into the cheese. Reggie C. from Massillon, Ohio says, I met a girl in a bar last weekend, and I thought we got along well, but she gave me a wrong phone number. Why do girls do this? Reggie, it's called free drinks. That's what it's about. Girls don't have money. They go out to the bar looking for a good time. They meet a guy, find out that, this guy wants to get in my pants. And the next thing you know, you spend about $50-$60 on free drinks between the two of you. She's basically saying, thanks for the good time, but don't want to know you. Sorry that happened to you, buddy. Amber K., Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Do you have a favorite prank you like to pull on people? Amber, I used to love to pull pranks. And then there was a time that I realized that, my entertainment was at the expense of others, and that's probably not the right thing to do. I think that's called maturing, but I will share one that I used to love to do when I was probably in my teens, early 20s, before I straightened up, so to speak. Yeah, I traveled a lot, and I would go into airports, and I would go into the men's restroom. There'd be 3 or 4 guys sitting on the can. I'd wash my hands when I left and turn out the lights. As I think back now, that was fun. Can't do that now. They fixed the lights so you can't just walk out and flip a switch. But it was funny. Oh, God. I wish I could bring that one back. But like I said, that would be at the expense of others. That's not really a nice thing to do. So don't try that at home. Mike J., Santa Fe, New Mexico. I just moved to the USA from Australia about a year ago, and it's really hard to make friends in the USA. Any suggestions? Mike, I'm a loner. I've moved across the country working in radio stations, and I didn't really worry so much about making friends. Most of my friends were people I worked with. And, I guess it comes down to you have any hobbies and find people who have the same hobby as you. Now, I used to go to basketball courts when I would move to certain cities and, play pickup basketball, get friends that way. I don't know if you're into sports or whatever, but I've never had a problem with just kind of relaxing in my own skin and not surrounding myself with too many people. Too much drama associated with people, so I'm kind of a loner in that respect. So I'm probably not the best person to give you advice on that. Just common sense tells me go look for people that like the same interest that you have, and you'll probably gain friends that way. Izzy D. from Ogden, Utah wants to know what it was like being a radio personality. It was fucking great, Izzy. Really was. Spent a long time, many decades doing it. Carved out a nice lifestyle for myself from doing it. The perks were outrageous. I missed those. The vacations to Jamaica, to Hawaii. many other places, the cruises. It just went on and on and on. My lifestyle was wrapped around being a radio personality. I'll go back to Mike in Santa Fe and just say, it's okay to make friends with people that you work with, by the way. You have a good time, and sometimes you make long-lasting relationships. A lot of my friends today came from my days as a radio personality. But it was excellent. It was fun. It's just not a profession that's available to people today. I see a lot of people on TikTok being DJs and personalities. But as far as radio goes, talking AM, FM, so to speak, those days are gone. Most of the stuff you hear on radio today is pre-recorded or AI delivered, and it's just not a viable business anymore. And that's why in 2022, I said, that's enough. I'm going to go do something else. Took a couple of years off and decided to try podcasting. And here we are on the Rat's Ass Podcast. All right, Glenda W., Falkenstein, Germany. It seems like people in America are really losing it over Trump being elected. What's your take? I don't give a rat's ass. If you live your life based on what politicians are in office, you're going to lead a very, very up and down life. You're going to be happy for 4 years and sad for another 4. And it really doesn't matter who's in office. That is a world so far away, it doesn't really affect us. It really doesn't. They get everybody whipped up with their rhetoric when they're running for office, and they play on people's emotions. They divide and conquer. And, so I just think if you live your life based on what politics are being played, you're in for a very, very sad life. And we only get one of these things. You only get one life. I will tell you, I was happier when I didn't pay attention to politics. When I was younger, I could care less. And damn, I had a good time. And then when I started programming radio stations where news radio stations were involved and I had to pay attention to politics, I feel like I became more of a miserable human being. So that's what I'm basing my experience on. So out of sight, out of mind, forget the politicians, who's in office, and go live your life and enjoy yourself. It's too short to worry about who's in office. Davey D., Stockholm, Sweden. I'm 23, and I've got myself into a situation where I live with my girlfriend, but I'm also involved with a chick I work with, and occasionally I sleep with my sister's best friend. Oh, God. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. It says, I like them all, and I can't choose one. What would you do? Well, Davey, obviously, I'm going to say since you're messing around with a girl at work and your sister's best friend, you probably don't really care a whole lot about your girlfriend. I'm going to assume that. Because if you really cared about her, I don't think you're going to want to mess around with somebody you work with and your sister's best friend. I don't know how long that's been going on. So my first piece of advice, Davey, would be to probably move out and break up with your girlfriend. It's not fair to her. Either straighten up and fly right or break up. Now, as far as the chick at work, man, you never shit where you eat. Highly recommend against that. I've seen too many people have to look for a new job because of that, because it always goes bad. At some point, it always goes bad. As far as your sister's best friend, what are you thinking, man? What are you thinking? But I think it all boils down to, I don't think you really care about your girlfriend that you're living with. So I think that's the first piece that you have to address. That's my best advice for you. Hope you take it. All right, that's the cheese. And before I get into the extra cheese, remember to keep your emails coming with your thoughts, observations, comments, and questions. I'll give you my 2 cents that makes absolutely no sense on the next podcast. Send them to ratsasspodcast@gmail.com. All right, get comfy. Here comes the extra cheese. But if you wouldn't mind, I've become addicted to the sloppy pussy. I love drinking these early in the morning. It's very good. Okay, I'm ready. Here we go. Extra cheese time. Your acting career has hit the skids when you agree to do a movie about Santa Claus being kidnapped, putting Christmas in jeopardy. Coming soon, The Red One, with The Rock, Chris Evans, J.K. Simmons, and Lucy Liu. Oh, The Rock. I think he'll do any movie. Doesn't matter. He doesn't care. He doesn't have any scruples. Kind of surprised Chris Evans and something like this. J.K. Simmons as well. But Lucy Liu, she hasn't been in movies in a long time, so I guess, why the hell not, right? I think I'd rather have one of my 3 gonads removed than see this piece of monkey dung. There was a scroll of celebrities who said they would leave the United States if Donald Trump was elected. And since I live in Los Angeles, I'm offering any celebrity a free ride to the airport if you want to go. But here's the deal. If you don't move, I'm getting the fuck out of the United States because I'm tired of hearing your whiny asses. Nobody cares. It didn't work. There's at least 50 celebrities who threatened to leave the United States, endorsed Kamala, all this bullshit. And guess what? Nobody cared. Nobody cared that you showed up to do your little concert. Nobody cared that you brought a guitar and played 3 songs. Nobody cared who you endorsed. Okay? We think for ourselves. We don't need your opinions. Just because you read a script or write a song doesn't mean you're any more special than any of us. Keep in mind, we make you famous. We make you famous. And just because we make you famous doesn't mean you can talk down to us and expect to influence us with your opinions. All right? So if you need a ride, shoot me an email. Happy to take you to the airport. I'll even help you pack the fuck up. Margot Robbie, who starred in the Barbie flick, which I swear I've never seen, but I loved her in Suicide Squad as Harley Quinn. Well, she's now a mom after popping out a healthy, bouncing baby boy. Nobody knows what his name is yet, though. I heard the baby came out sideways and she didn't scream or nothing. Trains, planes, and automobiles reference there for you. Her and her hubby were seen going for a stroll with her child, and she was wearing bibbed overalls. Now, my guess is she was sporting some granny panties underneath. But, hey, congrats to Margot and Tom. And Tom, don't you dare touch that nanny. There will be hell to pay if you do that. All right? We are getting closer to the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. As you know, Jake is 27, Mike is 58. That's a 32-year difference for those of you mathematically challenged. Paul was only 8 years old when Mike Tyson had his last pro fight in 2005 before retiring. So I don't think Jake is aware how Mike Tyson used to knock motherfuckers out. I used to buy pay-per-views with Mike Tyson. They would last 30 seconds because he'd walk out in the ring and just, boom, knock people out. Ice cold. So I'm predicting we'll see 3 hits in this fight. Paul will hit Mike, Mike will hit Paul, and Paul will hit the floor, forgetting his name and sexual orientation. They're going to get it done, though, November 15th on Netflix, of all places. Marky Mark Wahlberg's Mexican restaurant in Las Vegas went up in flames last night, the Flecha Cantina. There have been no reports as to what caused the blaze or if anybody was injured, but I suspect that a bean burrito was involved. But who really gives a rat's ass, right? Be sure to email what you want me to rap about on the next episode of the Rat's Ass Podcast to ratsasspodcast@gmail.com. And let me leave you with this. Those things that make you go, Did you know cheese is the most stolen food in the world? And the word scumbag actually means used condom. We'll do this again on Tuesday, November 12th, and that's the wrap.